Hello, welcome to Elevate Xchange Epic Podcast. My name is Charles Gura, and today we're here with Leah McLean, who is the VP of Cybersecurity Specialist at Mastercard. And she is also our president of the Elevate Xchange Advisory Council. Good day, Leah. How are you today?
Good, Charles. We are talking on a Friday, so happy Friday.
Yes, and I have my Hawaiian shirt Friday. It's the last Friday of the last summer. The last Friday of the summer. Sorry.
Oh, I know it's like, it's almost the end when it comes to September, but then there's always the day that really reminds us, but that's okay because we're going into the fall and it's already crazy busy and we're going to make it fun.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So first question I have is coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee?
I wish I wanted to do more tea, but I am a coffee person. Although I've cut back. I'm only about 2 cups a day. Sometimes.
Next one, mountains or beach?
Oh, beach.
Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Oh,
Oh, is there a mix like a swirl?
yes, I guess. What is it? The Great Divide is what Bluebell has, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you. So one of the questions we were talking about cybersecurity. And so how did you happen to get into cybersecurity?
Yeah, I definitely non-conventionally and not the traditional route, which I think when people do that and they adopt skill sets in their previous career before transitioning, it's a good thing, right? Because you bring to the table what maybe it balances with what we need more today. So I always was in tech since my career started out of college because I was born and raised in Silicon Valley, California. So by way of that, it was just all around me. First went into networking and IT and then cyber, but I started off as PR and communications, and then marketing, and then partnerships, technical alliances. And the thing that I look at now, I was working for cybersecurity companies. And then when I was at Cisco, they made one of their first acquisitions in cybersecurity, SourceFire. And at some point that team wanted me to go over and work with them, which is where I got into it and loved it ever since. And then kind of evolved more towards the practitioner route. And I look back on it now, and while I think early on I thought, gosh, I wish I had the traditional IT engineering background, it'd be so much easier to learn the technology concepts so much more, right?
So let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
So going into all of it and how you got into it is very, very, I'm sure it's a very long story because I have the same type of stories, right? I started in one thing. I used to be in defense, and then I went into banking, and then got into IT stuff. So we all have very diverse things that we do.
Yep.
So what was probably one of your most challenging projects that you went through, that you've gone through, that you've had?
Well, it was at Cisco, actually, which helped me to, I think, address challenges differently and better over time, right? And they had during my time there, the big BGP outage, right? Disruption, border gateway protocol, and it impacted a lot of their routers. And it was interesting because at the time I was part of helping them with the, narrative, if you will, that we put forth internally and externally, and looking at how all of that came about and what measures we had to take to educate customers, clients, et cetera. And why it was a challenge is because it was the year prior to them acquiring their first cybersecurity acquisition. And when I was starting to do more on security, I started thinking, well, there's a security aspect to this. Should we, talk about that? Which, and I mean, it's all public in the blogs and articles, but it wasn't mentioned. And probably it was a year or so after that the security conversation started coming into around how do we better secure BGP, right? And we're still figuring that out today. But
And so about what year was that?
so 2014. So
2014.
2013, we did the SourceFire acquisition. 2014 was when the BGP nightmare happened. It was all over the news. But I think the challenge that it was you thinking about all the types of people and groups that should be part of the conversation and in helping to address the problem, and realizing that certain groups weren't part of it that should have been. I would say, how did I overcome it? I don't know if I completely did it that time, right? With that big challenge. What I will say though, is what it helped me learn to do is figure out better effective communication and why it matters to other people. And sometimes you're going to have to educate folks so that they can realize they need to be a part of it and join our team together. Because that was still very much a time frame where security and IT weren't always coming together. And, IT would do things without security being part of it. That's obviously changed quite a bit. And so I think how overcoming it, I would say I took it as lessons learned in terms of how can I get better at the next challenge, in terms of how we, it's how we communicate, how you get people on board, how you have the collaboration to make people realize that they need to be part of it. And it's always thinking what groups really do need to be part of solving it, right? Because sometimes some groups are left out, not intentionally, but it's thinking through that pretty clearly.
Well, so how did your PR and communications play into that and helping to recognize, because that's part of your PR, I believe, right? Where you had to recognize, I think there's somebody missing here at this table. And so how did that help you within your transition into that type of a role?
It did help a lot, and it still does today, because we hear so much in our industry about understand the business, right? So you can really help the business and enable the business. And because I've had to understand the business, from my early days in PR and communications, and we had a manager who very much said, despite what our team did, right, understand the business and then know the technology. And because of that, I had a bit bigger picture outside of, different groups and more kind of company-wide. And that's where it still helps me to this day. And I think about, I don't think I could appreciate that skill set until I got further along in my career and realized that is such a need. And I was lucky to learn it early on.
So what are some of the current challenges that you're currently facing with what you're doing?
Realizing that you have some top goals you have to achieve, right? There's the company goals, and then there's the goals set forth by your managers, your bosses for the team and the group. And you may not have everything you need to achieve the goals now, but you still have to show progress, and you still have to figure out, well, what can be done now to at least meet the goal enough,
right,
while you're waiting for, say, budget resources to scale and grow, right? And it's always the mindset of you don't want to say no, or you can't, right? Because that's not acceptable.
Right.
You've got to have a solution. So it's really coming to the table with the solutions and looking at the entire journey, right? It's always a journey.
Right.
What is doable now to meet the goals and what can be done? And then what is the, longer game that will get there over time, right? And everything in between, and knowing what you have to work with now based on resources, budget, et cetera.
So it's kind of having that foresight to kind of look and see what the big picture is going to be from that company goal standpoint, but then being able to come back and scale back and go, okay, so out of that big goal, what part of it do we look at? And then looking at how can we do some of it? We know we can't get the Ferrari, but for now we've got the Pinto.
Or maybe the Honda.
Right, or the Honda. We can get the Honda and get something real reliable. And so but knowing that, okay, but the Honda is just a stepping stone till we can go for the Lamborghini or the Ferrari or whatever your car of choice is, or getting to that beach.
Yeah,
Or getting that
exactly.
really good cup of coffee.
Right.
So so what you're saying, I hear you saying, is that the
Journey process.
the journey is all about that continuous education.
Yeah.
So from that, let's talk a little bit about this. So what types of skills then, because if you're continually educating yourself, it's always about, okay, what's next? Because we know life is nothing but change. What's that next step? What's those types of skills that you look for that people have, that you're kind of like, okay, I don't really have this skill, because we all have certain skills. What's that one skill that you're kind of not one, but what are those skills that you kind of look for in people so that you can help supplement what you need?
Yeah. And you just said life is all about change. Have we just not, like, in the last couple of years here, right? Just to take a moment
Yes.
and realize, wow. No, good question. So I think some skill sets similar to what I have, but even in broader areas, right? Because everyone brings different perspectives, and then that makes a whole, right? Having everyone together versus there's not one expert or one smartest person in the room. Definitely mindset. And the mindset of always be learning, evolving. I think all of us need to have that, because as you said, life changes. In general, technology changes so much, right? In the landscape, you have to be keeping up with the latest. The ability to problem solve. I remember in one company, somebody mentioned, no, we can't do that, right? And at the time, our manager said, there's not a no. That's, if you're going to say no, you have to say, but I have an idea. And it may be true that you can't solve that right then and there, but you need to then have ideas to help show that you're problem solving, and you will help come up with a solution, because nobody wants to be told there isn't one. So that's a big one. And then the other big one is, I think active listening is key. And I've had to work on this, to be honest. But
yeah, so on my computer, I have a little Post-it note that says listen. And to listen is hard. It is a lot harder than people think, because typically most people, when they're listening, they're thinking about what their response is going to be. And that's not listening. You've got to focus on what the person's saying.
that is so true. So is that Post-it note on as a reminder for you?
Yes, to listen. Basically, keep my mouth shut and listen more.
I'm going to start putting Post-it notes on my monitor too. I need those.
There's no passwords, Post-it notes. So.
Right. Well, good. I don't doubt that from your defense days.
So as we're getting ready to, I guess, kind of wrap this one up, is there any positions that you all have at Mastercard, or that y'all are trying to fill, or that you're always looking for?
Yes, I will say that our security team's a pretty good size compared to other companies I've been in the last few years, and we are always hiring for all types of roles. And will also say we're not looking for unicorns either. So I think we tend to write pretty realistic job descriptions. So check out the careers page. We're always hiring, and in many locations as well as remote.
Do you know the website address by any chance?
Oh, you're going to
make Mastercard.
Type this in real time.
Is it like mastercard.com/careers or something like that?
I know. I'm going to give it to you right now. It is, let's see if this will pull up soon.
Or is it careers.mastercard.com maybe?
It might be a little more.
That's all right. I'm sure
yeah.
If you go to the mastercard.com.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's Mastercard Jobs Career, something like that. I think it's I want to say it's Mastercard Jobs.
Okay.
Jobs. Yes. Mastercard.jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for your time. Thank you for the information. There we go. put us both up there. Thank you for your time today, for also stepping up to be the president for the Elevate Xchange Advisory Council. Really appreciate that. We really look forward to what you're going to be doing to help out with that.
Yeah, no pressure. No, I'm excited by the opportunity and honored, and thank you. It's I'm going to look forward to working with you more. It's exciting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Leah.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.